Hello everyone, I am Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you on Sanjay Gupta Tech School. So today we are going to learn integration that we are learning from last week, and today Ankit will be covering some more topics like Apex callout, and it is part 5 of integration. And I hope so far you have understood all the concepts related to integration very well. And this is day 64, and we will be having one more session tomorrow. So this week integration related sessions will be completed. So let me welcome Ankit once again. So welcome Ankit on the channel. Please share your about yourself to the audience.
Thanks, Sanjay, for having me on this channel and providing me the platform to share the knowledge with the community. So, something about me, my name is Ankit Jain. I am a Salesforce architect. Moreover, I'm also a Salesforce certified instructor as well as a corporate trainer too, where I'm conducting the trainings for the corporates for more than 3 years, and I have conducted more than 30 plus batches on the different topics, include admin, LWC, Aura, integration, Apex, PD1, PD2, and so on. Moreover, I'm also quite active on the communities, LinkedIn, Stack Exchange, as well as the Salesforce developer communities too. Please follow, please follow, please share your knowledge with me on these different communities too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Ankit for letting us know about yourself. So guys, if you want to become part of Sanjay Gupta Tech School community, so you can join this Telegram group where people are interacting and helping each other. No promotion and total knowledge sharing. Okay, and this is week 18 of this Salesforce Learning Bootcamp, and I am happy like Ankit became part of this bootcamp, so it is good. And in future as well, like I will try to connect Ankit and other folks who are having different knowledge, because I alone don't have all the knowledge of Salesforce, so I need more people. So whenever I get a chance, like if I have anyone who is having proper knowledge, so I will connect that folk on this channel so that they can share their knowledge as well. Okay, so moving forward, like if you want to follow Sanjay Gupta Tech School, so you can just follow this platform on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Telegram. And all the links are available in the videos descriptions, like session tracker and exercise sheet. So just share this information with more folks, and over to you, Ankit. Let's start the session.
Sure. Thank you, Sanjay. So, folks, yesterday we discussed about the Apex REST service, where we have created the Apex REST service by using the REST resource. Right? We discussed yesterday how to create your own web service with the help of the Apex programming. Today we will take one step further, and we will see now how we can call out another web service. So yesterday basically what we have discussed, that was referred as the inbound integration. Today we will be talking something about the outbound integration, where the Salesforce have to invoke the web service that is available in some another system. So for example, if you refer this diagram, let's say Salesforce is one system and there's another system. That another system can be in any other language. That another system can be running on any other platform. How, as a Salesforce, you send the request and accept the response from that web service? What are the different things that you have to take care to send the request and accept the response from the third-party system? So that when I say the third-party system can be an Oracle system, can be a SAP system, or can be another Salesforce org as well. We do multiple times, I have done in my projects as well, where we do integrate two different Salesforce orgs to share the data, right? So how we can do that? How we can achieve this with the help of Apex programming? In case we have to do it in the Apex, then we have to work on the few classes provided by the Apex. The first class is the HTTP class. The first class is the HTTP class. This class will be used to initiate the request, and also this class will be used to handle the response as well. So first class that we have to use is the HTTP class. Another class that we have to use here is the HTTP request class. In this request class, we set the endpoint, like we discussed in the past, whenever we have to perform any integration, we have to set the endpoints and we have to let the system know what kind of request that we are sending, whether we are sending the get request, post request, patch request, put request, or delete request. We have to go and specify here the request detail as well. Another thing that we do have to set according to the integration requirement is the different headers. For example, if a particular integration needs to set a specific header, for example, most of the integrations, they do specifically need to set the content type, or they do specifically need to set any additional headers. Then we have to set all those headers with the help of this request class. And finally, what we do is we handle the response coming from the third-party system using the HTTP response class. So this class will provide different types of methods to check the body, to check the error code, or to check the status of the HTTP request. Right? So whenever we are dealing with any REST callout, we have to take the help of the three base classes provided by the Salesforce. In addition to that, before you go and make any call outs, you have to either go and register the third party endpoint either as the remote site setting or as the name credential. In one of the previous sessions, we already deep dive into what is remote site setting and what is name credential. Right? So for example, if Salesforce have to communicate with another system, right, like say Oracle system or another Salesforce system, then the first thing that we have to do here is we have to go and register that endpoint as the remote site setting or as the name credential. Salesforce do recommend that we should use the name credential over the remote site setting because name credential provides few additional functionalities. Like with the help of name credential, we can go and also specify the authentication details as well. Right? So for today, I have prepared one demo. So what we will do in this today's demo is we will go and we'll have the two different systems here. Just a minute. We will have the two different systems here. One is the system A and second is the system B. Yesterday, we have created the REST service on the system A. Now let's say I do have another system B, which is again designed in the Salesforce. So I do have two systems, both are in Salesforce. System A is in Salesforce and system B is also in the Salesforce system. Now from the system B, which is again a Salesforce system, what I have to do? I have to call this REST service that we have created yesterday. So what all the different things that we have to take care to invoke the REST service from the system B? First thing is on the system A, we have to go and create the connected app because we have to do and define what kind of authorization that user will have whenever user is invoking this REST service. So here we have to go and create the connected app and set the authorization details. On the system B, as we are making the call out to the third party system, we have to go and create the name credential. On the system B, as we are making the call outs to the third party system, we have to go and create the name credential. And for the OAuth setup, we have to also go and create the authentication provider as well. For the OAuth setup, we have to also go and create the authentication provider as well. Let's do these steps one by one so that the things will be more clear. Again, I am navigating to my developer console. So here this is the system A that I do have where we have already created the REST service yesterday. This is the REST service that we have created yesterday, which is returning me top accounts, right? Which is returning me top account. Now what we will do, we will invoke this REST service from the another org. This is my another org, integration demo org 2, and this is my first org, integration demo org A. Now from this org, what I will do, I will invoke this REST service. As I said, we have to follow the certain steps. The step number 1 is we have to go and create the connected app where we do have the REST service available. So I will go and create the connected app here. Create the connected app. What you have to do here is, again, we already discussed this in the previous sessions. What we have to do to create the connected app is we have to go and click on the setup. And in the setup, we have to go and search for the app manager. So let me look for the app manager here. And here we'll go and click on the new connected app. Here we'll go and click on the new connected app. Post that, what we will do, we will go and create the connected app. You can give any name to the connected app. Let's say I am giving the name here as the Salesforce to Salesforce integration. I'm just giving the name here as the Salesforce to Salesforce integration. Contact email, go and specify a valid email address because Salesforce will drop an email to you as soon as the connected app is ready. So go and specify the email. Here again, it is not
Ankit,
mandatory in case you want.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you please zoom in? Actually, it is very low.
It is better?
Yeah, now it is
Yeah,
better.
I have specified here the connected app name, API name. After that, I have specified the email address. Post that, you have to go and specify the image URL. Again, it is completely optional, so I am skipping it for now. And I am creating this app for the OAuth setting. What I am doing here is I am creating this app for the OAuth setting. So we have to go and check this flag. So here we have to go and check this flag. Again, for the time being, as we do not have the callback URL, just go and put any dummy URL for now. So let's say I am putting here a kind of a dummy URL of a Google. We'll come later and replace that URL. But for the time being, here I go and put a kind of a dummy URL of a Google. Next thing is here we have to go and specify what all different access that we have to provide. Here we have to come and specify what all different access that we have to provide. So let's say to exchange the data, we have to go and specify here the manage user data access. So I am adding that access here. Another access that I am doing here is because I want my connected app to be taken care for the refresh token as well. So here I am adding another thing, that is the perform request at any time. And let me also give a complete access because we are on a demo. Definitely we can also give the complete access here as well. But according to your business requirement, you have to figure it out what kind of access will work for you. This is how you go and configure the connected app for the OAuth. Only check this flag. When callback URL, I will come back to that callback URL, right? And post that, scroll down and click on send. Again, as I said, it will take some 10 minutes to configure the org. So let that org get configured in the background. As soon as we go and create the connected app, Salesforce do share the client key and the client secret key. So let's go and access that client key and the client secret key by clicking on the button manage consumer details. So again, here it is asking me for the verification. Let me check for the verification code that I am receiving on my email. It is 115 229 and click on verify. Right, so I do have this consumer key and the consumer data. So the system A job has been done. I'm just following this diagram that I have put here on my system A. I do have the REST service. Here I have created the connected app, and after creating the connected app, what I got the client key and the client secret key. Right? In few auth, they also refer as the consumer key on the consumer secret key, but it's one and the same thing. Right? Let's go to the system B, from where we have to make the call out. So the first thing that we will do there is we will go and create the authentication provider, because this authentication provider will go and specify all the details that we have got from our connected app. So here I go to my another org. This is my another org. Here I go and create the authentication provider. To create the authentication provider, you just have to go here and search for the auth provider. So here I'm clicking on the auth provider, and let's go and select the kind of auth provider that we have to use for the authentication. Salesforce do have provided few of the auth providers here. So if as soon as you go and click on new, you can use any of the auth providers, different auth providers provided by the Salesforce. So with the help of these auth providers, you can go and connect with different types of system. Like you have to connect with the GitHub, or you have to connect with the Microsoft or MuleSoft or Salesforce or Twitter or LinkedIn. You can do this, use these auth providers for their own type of authentication. Here I have to connect the integration. I have to do this integration with another Salesforce org. So I am selecting here the Salesforce auth provider. Let's say I am giving the name here as the Salesforce Connect app, because I am creating this auth provider for this Connect app. So connect for the connection app that I have created on the org. You can give any name here. It's completely up to you. The next thing that you have to go and specify here is the consumer key and the consumer secret key that we have received after we have created the connected app. So here is my consumer key. I'm copying this consumer key and here I go and paste that consumer key. Similarly, I will go to the consumer secret and get the consumer secret from here. Again, copying the consumer secret and pasting it here. Next thing is for the Salesforce, this is only the authorization URL. So in case you are not putting anything, it will take the default URL, which is already provided in the placeholder. In case you are doing the integration with some other system like LinkedIn or Microsoft, their documentation, they will give you what kind of authorization URL or the token endpoint URL that you have to use. Another key thing that we have to specify here is the default scope. Another key thing that we have to go and specify here is the default scope. So from where we'll get the default scope? Again, to get the default scope, we have to go back to the connected app that we have created here. You can see the default scope that we do have here is these are the different scopes. Like you can see API, full, what kind of access that you have provided here, right? Accordingly, the scopes will be generated. So here you do have the different types of scopes available: API scope, full scope, refresh token scope. So you can go and specify the different types of scopes in your authentication provider. You can specify one or more than one as well. How you can specify that? So let's say I have to go and specify this refresh token as the scope. So I'm copying that scope from here and again navigating to my authentication provider and putting the scope name. Let's say another scope that I have to go and specify here again from my connected app is this full scope. So to specify this additional scope, you just have to make sure that you are putting one space in between the scopes. This is how you can go and specify the multiple scopes here. Once this setting has been done, you can go and click on the save. You can see here Salesforce have automatically considered this is your auth URL as well as the token URL. In case you do have something else, you can go and edit and put your own URL here. The key thing that we do have here is the callback URL, right? So from here, what we have to do, we have to take this callback URL and go back to our connected app, because in the connected app, we have put kind of a dummy URL for now. So here we have to go and put the callback URL that we have received from our authentication provider. So I have got my callback URL and here I go and put my callback URL. Here I go and put my callback URL. So from where I'm getting this callback URL? From this authentication provider, I'm getting this callback URL and clicking on the save. Again, I'm navigating to the same diagram. So connected app has been done. Authentication provider configuration is also completed. Next thing that we have to do here is we have to go and create the name credential, because we have to whitelist our system. So we will go and create the name credential. Again, name credential also I am doing it in the another system from where I have to do the cost. So here I and create name credential now. So let me go and create the name credential from here. Again, you can give any label. Let me give the label this one.
Again, zoom in, please.
Sure. It's around 150.
Yeah, now it is okay.
Okay. So the label that I have given here is the SFDCB. You can give any label. It's completely up to you. Now here, you have to go and specify the URL where you have to. Here, you have to go and specify the URL where you have to make the connection. So for example, I have to make the connection with this org. So I have to go and specify the URL of this org. One way to generate the URL is you can directly use the command provided by the Salesforce, that is the system.debug, and here you can use the system.url dot get Salesforce base URL. So this method, it will give you the base URL of your org that you have to connect. So I'm clicking on execute and generating the base URL of the org. So this is the base URL of the org that I have received. So I'm just copying the base URL of the org from my system A. And putting it here. Again, how I have generated the base URL? To generate the base URL, I have used the Apex method, that is the system.url dot get Salesforce base URL. So whenever we have to get the base URL in our Apex code, we generally use this method to get the base URL. I have applied a similar analogy here as well, and I got my base URL that I have put in my name credential. Another thing that I have to go and specify in my name credential is the authentication. So what kind of authentication that we have to do here? So here let's say I am doing the authentication as the OAuth 2.0. What kind of authentication that I am doing here is the OAuth 2.0. So here I go and specify the OAuth 2.0. Immediately it will ask me to select the authentication provider. We have already created the authentication provider. So let me select that authentication provider that we have created just before creating the name credential. So this is the authentication provider that we have created. So I am selecting that authentication provider, right? And post that, what I will do here is I will go and click on save. As soon as I go and click on save, you can see here authentication status by default.
Guys, I think Ankit lost the connection, so let's wait for a couple of minutes. Just wait for 2 3 minutes. He just lost the connection due to some internet connectivity, so he'll be joining soon. Yeah, he's here. Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, yeah. Please carry on.
Okay, sorry guys, I lost my connectivity. So let me refresh this to check the status of the name credential. Okay, let me start the creating the name credential one more time. I'm not sure from where we have lost. So what I will do here is I will go and specify here the label. You can give any label. Let's say I'm giving this as the label here. The URL, you can get the URL from the system that you are connecting. Either you get this directly from the documentation, or you can also generate the URL by using the method that is the system.url.generate base URL. Right? By using this method, you can go and get your base URL. So after you got the base URL, go and paste the base URL here. Next thing is you have to specify the authentication, how you want to do the authentication here. So I'm specifying here the authentication type as the name principal, and here I am specifying the authentication protocol that I have to use here is the OAuth 2.0. The next thing that I am doing here is I am selecting the authentication provider that we have created before creating the name credential. So here I am selecting the authentication provider. Next thing that we have to do here is we have to go and click on the, as soon as you go and click on the save button, what will happen? The name credential, it will initiate the authentication, and this authentication status will be authorized as soon as the authentication is completed. Initially, it is pending. As soon as we go and click on save, and once the authentication is successful, the status will be changed to authenticated. Getting an error. Not sure if it's a connection issue or something. Let me go and check if the name credential is created, and we will try to authenticate one more time. So the name credential is here. I am again selecting the name credential, and rest all the things looks good to me. Let me go and click on the save button. Error redirect URI mismatch. Error description is equal to redirect URI match configuration. Let me go and revisit all the settings that I have done. Looks good. Let me revisit for the authentication provider. Sometimes we also get this kind of an error because our connected app is not ready. So that might be one of the reasons. Authorize token. This is good. Let me again paste the consumer key and the consumer secret key. Might be there is an issue in pasting. Manage consumer details. Two four eight six five eight. 24865. Click on verify. Let's try one more time. No, this time it is moving. So you can see this time it is asking me for the authorization of the org. So let me go and put my org details. And click on share. Now, while doing this authentication, it is asking me to allow the access. So I'm just clicking on the allow button to allow the integration between the two different Salesforce orgs. Now we are expecting that the status of the name credential must be converted as the authenticated. You can see here, now my authentication status is converted as the authenticated, as I am authenticated with my org now. This is the integration demo org A. You can see here, I am authenticated here to my integration demo org now, right? Now what we will do as a part of next step, as we have already authenticated this org, now what we will do in another system, we will go and create the new Apex class to do the callouts. So here I am creating the Apex class, that is, I'm naming that Apex class as a callout to, let's say, putting as Salesforce org. Again, let me zoom this. I'm just giving the class name here as callout to Salesforce org and clicking on OK, right? Now, in this class, what we will do, we will make the callouts. So which method we have to make a call? For example, here, we are making the call to the method that we have, or the Apex REST service that we have created yesterday, that is the get top accounts. So how we will do that? So let's say I'm creating one method here, public static void. I'm just giving the method name here as get account. You can give any name. I'm just giving the method name here as the get accounts. In this method, we will make the callout. As I said, whenever we have to make the callouts, we have to use the three different classes. What are the three different classes that we have to use? HTTP class, HTTP request class, as well as the HTTP response class. So we'll go and use these three different classes now. Initially, we have already taken care of the authentication part. Now we just have to make the callouts to our org to get the response from the third party org. So here, first I am defining the HTTP class instance. So HTTP is equal to new HTTP. This is my HTTP class instance. Taking the one step further, here I am putting the HTTP request is equal to HTTP request is equal to new HTTP request. I have created the instance of the request class as well. Now in this request, we have to go and set the multiple things. So we have created the instance of the HTTP class. We have created the instance of the request class as well. Now in this request, we have to go and set the multiple things. So first thing that we have to go and set in this request is the endpoint. So set endpoint. The first thing that I am setting in this request is the endpoint. So what will be the endpoint and how you specify the endpoint whenever you are using the name credential? Again, if I can remind you to the postman, yesterday this was the endpoint that we are using, right? Whenever we are testing the integration with the help of the postman. So initially I do have my instance of the org, right? Followed by the /services. followed by the slash apex rest, followed by the URL mapping. And this is the URL mapping that we have done. So we'll apply the similar analogy here. I do have the endpoint configured on my name credential here. This is the name credential that I have created. And in this name credential, I do have my instance URL. So we can directly use this name credential in our code. How to do that? In case you have to use the name credential in your code, first you have to go and specify the call out, followed by the colon, followed by the name credential name. So what is the name credential name? SFDCB. So here I'll go and put the name credential name as the SFDCB. Next thing that I have to go and specify, like we have done yesterday, here next thing that we have to go and specify here is the slash services, followed by the slash apex rest. So here I go and put the slash services, followed by the apex rest, followed by the apex rest. Next thing that we have to go and specify, again, like the way we have done in the Postman, is we have to go and specify the URL mapping. So what was the URL mapping? That we do have account management. That's what we have configured yesterday. So I'm copying the same URL mapping here and putting it here. So basically this is the endpoint with which we have to make the call. Right? We have already tested our classes with the help of the Postman yesterday. Now I am invoking this same REST service from my another Salesforce org. So I have defined the call out here, followed by the slash services, followed by the apex rest, followed by the class name, followed by the URL mapping name. So this is the one thing that we have to go and set. Another thing that we have to go and set, that is the method. So set method. Another thing that we have to go and set is the method. So on which annotation we are invoking this method? We are invoking this logic on the @HTTP get. We are invoking this on the @HTTP get. So here you go and specify the, here you go and specify the method as the get method. Here you go and specify the method as the get method. Again, according to the documentation, you have to go and configure all the different parameters. Like few of the documentation, they do require you to set the different headers like set timeout. So here you can go and set the timeout according to the different documentations. You have to go and set this. For Salesforce documentation, only these two things are enough for now, right? So I'm just keeping this two for now, and let's go and make the call now. So to make the call, what we have to do? We have to go and call the send method from the HTTP. So this is my HTTP. Here I am calling the send method, and with the send method, what you have to do here is you have to go and send the request. What you have to do here is you have to go and send the request. What it will return? It will return you the HTTP response. What it will return you the HTTP response. Again, I am repeating, you have created the instance of the HTTP class. You have created the instance of the HTTP request. On this request, you have set the different parameters like the endpoint or the method. And here you are calling that method by using the, here you are sending the request using the method and handling that response by using the response method. Right? Now let's go and check what all the response we are getting by making this call out. So to check the response, I am just putting this under the debug, system.debug. To handle the response, you can use the response. Let me put here as the response dot. You need to have the multiple methods available here. Like we are just accepting the body. So I am putting the get body. In case you are doing the integration with the documentation or with the sending the PDF, then accordingly you have to go and accept here the different types of data. So let's say here also I am checking the status, because yesterday we discussed whenever we are getting the successful response, what response code that we will get? We will get the response code as 200. So here also I am expecting the response code as 200. So here I go and check the status code. So here I am putting the get status code. Right, let's go and check whether we are getting the body as well as we are getting the expected status code or not. So again, I am saving this one. Two errors. Sorry. let's go and invoke this method now. So again, I'm invoking this method from the anonymous window. Dot, what is the method name? So let me get the method name here, that is the get accounts. Let me go and click on execute and click on the debug only. You can see that we are getting all the accounts from my another org here. You can see here we are getting all these different accounts from my org. Right, so we are getting this kind of a response whenever I am making the Apex call. You can also download these logs and get the complete response from there. So let me just download it. You can see here, this is the kind of a response that I am getting from my third party org. Now it's very easy. You can either directly send this back to your, in case you are invoking this from your LWC component, you can directly send this response to your LWC component and navigate it and show it on the UI. Navigate it and show it on the UI. You can also parse this in the, you can also parse this kind of a response in the, in your Apex code as well. There are few classes, JSON classes. There's the one JSON class provided by the Salesforce, in which we do have few methods with the help of which you can deserialize it and get it into the form that you are expecting. So let me quickly show you that as well. So what you can do here is, whatever the response that you are getting, first thing ideally what you should do here is do and check here whether you are getting the status code as 200 or not. You can check here. In the case of successful response, what we are getting the status code as 200. So here I go and put that check. If the response code is 200, then and then only I will go and perform my logic. Else what I am doing here is I am reporting the error. So system.debug, let's say I am putting the error message here, error in integration, and here again to get the error, here I am using the method response dot get body, because we do have the error also available in the body itself. So here I am just directly printing the error. So in the case of successful response, what you can do, you can go and deserialize that response. To deserialize that response, you can use the JSON class, and in the JSON class we do have the multiple deserialization methods. So here I am using the method called deserialize untype. What this method will take? This method will take the JSON string, and what it will return? It will return you the object. What it will return you? It will return you the object. So here I am I'm using this method, and in this method what I am passing is the body that we have received. And what it will return, as I said, it will return you the object. So let me go and handle here the object. So list of objects, let me put here the results is equal to, because we have to also do the type conversion here, because one is a string and another one is returning the result. So here I am doing the typecasting as well. Here I am doing the typecasting as well. Now I got the result. It's very simple. We just have to iterate over this result or the list the way we do the iteration in the Apex by using the for Apex loop, and we can access all those details. So here I am doing the similar iteration. So let's say here I go and put obj object, let's say obj of results. And here we can go and convert this object now into the map. We can also go and check what kind of objects that we are getting. So let me go and put this like this, so that you'll get a better understanding what we are getting now after we have converted this into the object form. So let me comment this and comment this now, because we already tested the response. Now what I have done in this step, I have converted the object or the output that I have got into the object form, and here I am just printing the object. Let me again invoke this. You can see here, now we are getting a object. Now what we are getting here is the object. Now it's very simple. You just have to convert this object and access this different value. Here you can see everything is in the map form. Like this is the key and this is the value. Again, this is the key, this is the value, this is the key, this is the value. Whatever the things that you have to retrieve, you just go and convert this into the map form and access all those values here. So let me show that as well. This is how you have to break your code, understand it, what each step is doing, and after that you can perform the different operation. So here again I am converting this into the object. So let's say I am putting the string, that is the key, because if I go and read the output here, you can see everything is the string. But the next thing that I do have, somewhere I do have the integer value, somewhere I do have the string value, somewhere I do have a complete object. So let me generalize it by putting this as a So what I am doing here is I am just generalizing it by putting the value is the object. And let's say here I am putting the name as the account record. And here what I am doing here is I am converting this into the map. So here again I'll go and do the typecasting and put the object here. Again I do the typecasting and put the object here. After that it is very easy. From the map, how we access the value, the similar way you have to go and access the values as well. So let me go and put it into the debug. So let's say you have to go and access the dot get. Let's say you have to go and get the account name. So I'm putting the account name here. Let's say I'm only accessing the account names, whatever the accounts that I am getting, I'm just printing that account's name from here. Let me go and save this. And we'll execute it one more time. So let me comment out this now. It's not required. And I'm just printing the names now. So here I go, I'll execute one more time. This is how you can perform the real time. Okay, we are getting the null. We have to check why. Let me check. Are we not getting the name here? Okay, we are not getting the name here. What we are getting here is the annual revenue ID as well as the industry. So there are two things that we can do. Either we can go and modify the REST service to send the name, or we can directly access the value that we have to. Because here we are only getting the annual revenue ID and industry. Let me only access the industry here for now. So here I am putting the industry, clicking on save. I believe here we are not getting we are not sending the account name. Yeah, you can see here, as we are not sending the account name, that's why we are not getting it. In case you want to access the account name, add one additional parameter in the query, that is the account name, so that whenever the third party system is making the call, they can also access the account name. But for the time being, I'm just accessing the industry. You can see here all these industries value. So this is the one way of doing it. In case your output is kind of easy, you can definitely use this approach. You can use this approach. Another way that we can do to pass this kind of output, we can use the JSON to Apex utility. It is one of the utility provided by the Salesforce, with the help of which what we can do here is we can convert the JSON output into the Apex form. So you just have to go here and paste your JSON output, and this utility will create the Apex class for you along with the parser. What you have to do here in this utility, you just have to go and paste your output. So this is the output that I have received from the third party system. So this is the another way of passing. According to the complexity of the JSON that you are getting, you can choose one of the approach. So I'm just pasting the complete JSON and clicking on the create Apex. What this utility is doing, this utility, it will create the two class. One is the Apex class and another one is the Apex test class. So let me go and open this one. You can see here, we do have this utility available here. From this utility also, you can directly get all these different values here. So for example, if this is my class, what I can do here is I will go and create the similar class in my org by copying the exact code. Let's say here, I'll go to my org and create another Apex class. Let's say that is the account response helper. I'm naming this class as the account response helper, and whatever the class that has created by the utility, I am just pasting that exact class here. Now in this class that utility have created, we do have one method. What is the issue? Let me go and replace this JSON to Apex with this one. Ideally, whenever we are creating this class, here we have to go and specify the class name. I missed that. That's why I'm getting these additional errors. If you go and put the class name here while parsing, then you will not get these errors. But let me fix these errors quickly. Right? I believe we are good now. So this is in this class, we do get one method, that is the parse method. Internally, again, parse method there, it is using the JSON classes only. But your job only is to call this parse method and pass the output, and what you will get in the response is the account helper. What you will get in the response is the account helper, and here you are getting the list of an account helper in the response. So another way of parsing is, let me close this. Either you can use this approach that I showed you here, or what you can do here is you can use here the list of account helper is equal, let's say here account list is equal to account list is equal to here you go and call the parse method of this class. So here I go and call the parse method, and in this parse method what I am doing here is I am just passing the body. In this parse method what I am doing here is I am just passing the body. Now again here also you are getting the account list. It is again very simple to iterate over this list and get the data. Let me remove this. I believe I am missing some of the closing brace, but that's fine for now. That is not the main crux. The main crux here to show you folks how we can use this account list. Now you got the account list. Again, you can perform the iteration for account ACC of account list, and here you do have all these things here. So let me go and put here system.debug. Not this one, ACC of account list, system.debug, and here you can go and print the ACC records here. Whatever the ACC records that you are getting, you can directly put that ACC record. Moreover, if you want to access any of the property, let's say if you want to access the industry, you can access the .industry here. Right? If I go and debug this, again we'll get the similar kind of an output. So it's completely up to the kind of a complex JSON that we do have. Accordingly, we can pass it. I have shown you both the ways that people do use in the industry. Few people, they are comfortable with this type of parsing. So you can also parse in this way by using the JSON to Apex utility provided by the Salesforce, which is hosted on the Heroku. And another way is you can also use the classes provided by the Salesforce like the JSON.deserialize untype class. In this way, you can make the connection in between the two different orgs. Again, I am repeating the steps. System 1, System 2. System 1, where we do have the REST service, we go and create the connected app. System B, from where we have to make the callouts to get the data. So here we go and first create the authentication provider. In the authentication provider, we go and put the client key and the client secret key that we are getting from the connected app. And in post that, in the authentication provider, we'll get the callback. Similarly, we go to the connected callback and configure that callback method. In the end, we have to go and configure the name credential by using the authentication provider. As soon as we go and configure the name credential, system will initiate the authentication process and it will mark the authentication as successful. This is how we can go and integrate between the two different orgs. Let me check if there are any questions in the chat box. Because of bad network, I believe I lost all the questions.
Okay.
Let's
So,
I got the question, Sanjay. Let me go over it. When should we use the HTTP request and the HTTP response class, inbound or outbound or both data integration? We use the HTTP. So Sachin asked the question, when should we use the HTTP request and the HTTP response class in the inbound integration or the outbound integration? The answer is we should always use this in the outbound integration. In the inbound integration, Sachin, we go and create the REST service. Okay. What if we have the system B as non-Salesforce system? What additional things needs to configure? Again, no additional things. Like, for example, if you have to make the integration with the LinkedIn, let's say, for example, you have to go and make the integration with the LinkedIn. Let's say what you will do, you will go and search here for the LinkedIn developer. Okay. Here also you will do the same thing. Like we have created the connected app for the Salesforce. Here also you go and create the app. If you go and pick any system which supports the OAuth, they do provide you this kind of option. If you take the Twitter or you take the Facebook or you take the LinkedIn or any app which does support the OAuth 2.0, it will provide you this functionality that it will allows you to create the app. And after creating the app, the rest of the things that we have done is exactly same. What to put in the scopes of the name credential? So Praveen asked that question. What we have to put in the scope of the name credential? Again, you have to follow the documentation, Praveen, in case you are doing the integration with some third-party system. As we are doing the integration with the Salesforce, here you can see we do have the different types of scopes available. Selected OAuth scope in our connected app. Like if you go and create the connected app with the LinkedIn, they will specify what type of scopes that will be supported by your application. So accordingly, you have to go and define the different scopes here. Sachin asked the question, what's the difference between the @HTTP get and the request.set method get? So @HTTP get, you will use Sachin whenever you have to create the REST service, and you will use the request.set method get whenever you have to do the outbound integration. Because deserialize untype, it does provide. Sachin asked another question, why we did not use another deserialize function. If you check, Sachin, you can use that one as well. I choose to use the deserialize untype because it is quite easy to use. But if you check here in the utility that we have created, internally they are using the another deserialize function. So you can use another deserialize function as well. It's completely your choice, but accordingly you have to handle the output. Accordingly, you have to handle the output and do the type conversion. In line number 14, can we do the deserialization? Yes. According to the output that you are getting, Praveen, accordingly you have to decide what type of collection that you have to use, whether you have to use the map collection or the list collection. It's completely driven based on the output. So Archana asked the question, will refresh token generated internally, or the refresh token, do we have to hit the refresh token API? So Archana, no, we do not have to hit the refresh token API because we have created the name credential here, and your name credential will automatically generate the refresh token for you, right? You do not have to bother about generating the refresh token again and again. Archana asked the question, how to achieve server-to-server authentication to avoid the token verification. No, in every integration, Archana, you have to do the authentication. You cannot avoid the token verification in any authentication. Like here, we are doing the server to server authentication only. From one Salesforce org, we are connecting to the another Salesforce org. That is nothing but a server to server authentication. So the best way to do the authentication is definitely the OAuth. That is the system. That is the complete web. All the web applications, they are following the OAuth integration. It is considered as the most secured integration. We do have the OAuth 3.0 as well, but as of now, I believe Salesforce is not supporting the OAuth 3.0. Or the difference between the process integration and the data integration. Sachin, you will get the answer of this question if you go and revisit the second session of this series. There I have explained what is the difference between the process integration and data integration. I highly recommend you to please go over that. There is an option to run the SOQL DML on our own platform like PHP using curl. Now, the question is not clear to me. The question is, there is an option to run the SOQL DML on our own platform like the PHP using the curl just by creating the connected app on the Salesforce. Is this is a good way, or we have to use the REST resource every time? REST resource, I'm not sure whether I answered your question correctly, Vinay. We go and use the REST resource whenever we have to access the resources that is coming up from the request, right? That time we go and use the REST resource. Connected app we use for the authentication purpose. Again, as I said, I'm not clear with your question, so most likely not be able to answer it in a fully way. Yes. So Manoj, whenever it's not always required, whenever you have to do the integration with the help of OAuth 2.0 or with the help of OAuth, then only connected app is required. In case you are doing the API key authentication, for example, here, this type of integration, here there is no OAuth. They are just providing the API key and we have to do the authentication with the help of this API key. In such scenarios, only we have to go and in such scenarios, there is no need to go and create the connected app. Whenever you have to use the concept of OAuth, then only the connected app will be required. Right? I believe most of the folks do have the request to show the integration between the two Salesforce org. I believe that request got fulfilled now. Yeah, that's all from my side for this session today. Back to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Ankit, for sharing the knowledge. And I hope, guys, you have understood whatever Ankit explained. And I think total 5 sessions are done, and one more session will be happening tomorrow. So this way, all the integration related things will be completed, and you can just go through all the sessions, practice, and if you have any doubt, you can just utilize the Telegram group. Thank you, Ankit, for sharing the knowledge once again.
Thank you, Sanjay,
See you
for having me on
tomorrow.
the platform.
Yeah.
Thank you.